My name is Yo Omaki. I am 17 years old and live in the city of Wrangler. This story of my journey to the top of the battle boards. It all started in the final gym class of my senior year at Zane Williams High School. Our final was a simple skirmish versus the bully of our school named Manny Ortega. He has developed his unique earth-style art. What is art, you say? Art is a special ability enhanced by an element. Not everyone is born with an art, and in some rare cases you can even be taught an art or two. Manny has earned enough battle points to be in the top 20 of our school. Mr. Rooks explained the skirmish's rules were simple. You couldn't use your art, and you cannot kill your opponent. There are a couple of ways of getting points. Number 1, if you position yourself to land a fatal blow on your opponent. For example, the neck or downing your opponent and they can't respond naturally. Also, knocking your opponent out of the circle ring would give a point. Today's battle will be Manny Ortega versus Yo Omaki. Manny taunted, "You've been avoiding me all year, Yo, and today's the day that I prove to everyone that I am better than you." I didn't even show that he had bothered me. Manny continued, "Let's make this match a little more interesting. I bet you 500 battle points that I slaughter you in front of everybody here today. You think just because you're a shadow art user that you're something special, but you're nothing." I sighed, "Deal." I grabbed my kendo stick firmly. I stood behind the line that was drawn on my end of the circle. Mr. Rooks screamed, "You guys ready?" The rest of our classmates chanted, "Battle," over and over again. He counted, 3, 2, 1, go. I charged forward and swiped towards his head with the kendo stick. Manny blocked the strike with his hand. The sound echoed throughout the whole gymnasium. Manny teased, "Oh, did I strike a nerve?" in a sarcastic voice. I let go of the kendo stick and swept his leg with a low kick, causing him to fall. As he was falling, he let go of my kendo stick. I then grabbed the kendo stick midair and placed the kendo stick on his neck. Mr. Rooks screamed, "1 point to Yo." Manny stood up. He was clearly upset. I put my hand out to try to help him up. He slapped my hand away and then spit on the ground next to me. Mr. Rooks yelled, "Get ready for round 2, 3, 2, 1, fight." Manny started the fight by charging at me head-on. Manny swung his kendo stick towards my head in a downward motion. While holding the stick with one hand, I blocked the strike. I could feel the blow throughout my whole body. I proceeded to go on the offensive. I knocked Manny's kendo stick up. I pressed on to swing my kendo stick down toward the left side of his torso. Manny blocked every blow. Mr. Rooks yelled, 30 seconds left, boys." I decided to use the fact that I'm smaller than him as well as my speed to my advantage. We charged at one another again. Manny did a horizontal swing. I slid under his kendo stick, and I ended up behind Manny. As he turned around to swing, it was too late. I already had my kendo stick about to strike Manny's neck. If this was a real sword, he would be dead. Before I could connect the blow, Mr. Rooks yelled, "Stop." Manny was not pleased to have lost another round. His eyes seemed dark. I felt like it wasn't my problem as I began to walk. I heard a voice as if it was in my head whispering, "Watch out." I used my shadow jump to the side, avoiding a giant rock that was hurled at me. I looked back to see Manny had brought out his flail and then used his art to rip a boulder out of the ground. Manny said with rage in his voice, "Do you think this is over?" The gym started falling apart as one of the pillars holding the building up began to break apart. The boulder he threw blew through the wall. You could feel the ground shaking. Mr. Rook was trying to get the other students out safely. I screamed, "Come on, man, there's no need to be a sore loser. Those BPs were going to be as good as mine anyways. You're putting everyone else's lives at risk." Manny yelled, "If they're too weak to withstand me just unleashing my power, then they don't deserve to be in my presence at all." Manny then formed a spike out of the piece of the ceiling that fell in front of him. He hit the spike towards me with his flail. It began to spin. I realized if I tried to block the spike it would just drill a hole straight through me. I noticed my swords on the floor not too far from me. I used another one of my shadow jump charges to grab one of my swords. As I unsheathed my sword, I formed a giant shadow slice. It ripped through the spike, splitting it into half the two halves. Manny followed up by doing one strong stomp, for rocks flew out of the ground, and he proceeded to hit them towards me one by one. I dodged the first two, and while trying to run towards him, he then smashed the third one, creating a bunch more rocks. I thought to myself, this guy is a monster. I can't even get close to him. When I am too far away from him, he will just shoot more spikes at me. I realized the only way to fight power is with even more power. I summoned my art weapon, which is a dark claw. As I felt my shadow art surround my forearm, I realized I was going to need even more power. I heard that voice from earlier in my head say, "Let me take over." It sounded more malevolent. It felt as if someone was trying to control my body. I screamed out to myself, "No. My own art will not ignite me. I will fight with my power." I felt a shockwave come from my feet. I looked at my hand and then clenched my sword. I challenged Manny, "This ends now." He screamed, "Bring it on." I summoned all my art into my sword. I swiped down a massive wave of art at him. It slipped through all of his rocks and crashed into him. I thought it was over until I saw his smile. I screamed, "Damn it." I rushed forward and pressed my sword on his neck, the voice from earlier screaming, "Do it. Do it. Just do it." My vision started to fade. I felt as if I was battling with myself, with some sinister wolf inside of me. Before it all went black, Mr. Rooks said, "That's enough." Mr. Rooks blocked some of the falling rubble that was flying toward me, then he put 2 fingers on my forehead. I felt a warm light. I felt calm. I could see again. My hand was trembling as I sheathed my sword. As I was walking away, Mr. Rooks said, "Come back at 3 o'clock after school, we have a lot to discuss." Before I could respond, a hand grabbed me and pulled me out of the gym. I looked up, realizing it was one of our school medic robots. The medic asked, "Are you okay?" I replied, "Yeah, I'm fine. Is it cool if I go to my next class?" The medic replied, "I don't know. Security will be here soon. They will have a lot of questions for you." I saw a small ball roll next to the medic. I knew exactly what it was. I shielded my eyes. The medic said, "What are you doing?" I heard a pop. The medic spurted out, "Error 221, temporary blindness. System check." I shadow jumped away and looked around for the only guy I know who makes those flash bombs, my best bud, Jason. I looked around, but couldn't find him. I told myself, whatever, let's just get going. Jason came out of nowhere and jumped on my back. He wondered, "Woo man, what happened there?" As he was pointing to the gym being repaired by the school's techno-medical team. I replied, "Oh, nothing, just me giving Manny the beatdown of the century he deserved." Jason praised, "Woo man. I knew you could beat him. On the last day of gym too. Hopefully, this will drop him down a peg or two." We both laughed as we walked to our next class. As I sat in calculus class, I kept staring out the window, wondering what Mr. Rooks wanted to discuss. The school's final bell rang. Everyone rushes to leave, to say their goodbyes for the summer. I think to myself that I don't even get to enjoy my last summer before college. Mama Rose is making me get a part-time job during the summer to help her with the bills. What a drag. I thought to myself as I began to walk toward the gym. A crippling pain shot through my arm. It felt like something was surrounding my arm. I quickly regained my strength and proceeded to the gym. I noticed all the lights were off except for the one in the middle of the gym. It worked like a spotlight on Mr. Rooks. He announced, "Come in, yo." I felt nervous. I chuckled, "Sorry about earlier, I thought I was going to ignite from using so much art. Manny is really something else, to have pushed me so far." He yelled, "If only igniting was the only thing we had oh worry about. You almost killed Manny. The thing inside of you is far more sinister." I apologized, "Sorry, Mr. Rooks." He questioned, "What do you know about your dad?" I laughed and said, Nothing. Anytime I ask my mom about him, she starts telling me about the beginning, about how they met and how she feels like he's still here with us. She idolizes him. He laughed, saying, "That's just like your mother." I said, "What do you mean?" He replied, to her, "The legendary White Phoenix is not just a man or a legend. She doesn't want you to idolize him, she wants you to respect him." I said, "I don't get it." Mr. Rooks gave me a deal. "If you can lay a single scratch on me while I have my stone skin passive on, I'll answer any questions you have." I was hesitant, but I accepted the deal. Mr. Rooks then asked me, "Why do you use your art so aggressively?" Most shadow art users are part of rescue teams. They use it to have heightened senses and speed. I replied, "All the training that I do, every swing of my sword is to get closer to him." I pointed to the direction of the statue of my dad in the middle of the town, since he isn't here to protect my mother. "I have to do it." Mr. Rooks said, "You feel it, don't you? Your art is trying to take over, trying to make you ignite so that you can go on a rampage." I didn't say a word. "Yo, I want you to go all out. If you can't take control of your art today, there's no way I can let you live." He pulled out one of his tomahawks. I said, "Why? What's so scary about my power that you're not telling me?" Mr. Rooks screamed, "Beat me and find out." "Fine, I have been looking for a reason to use this. Jason made me an art container to help seal away my family's prize sword." I stuck my hand into the container, pulling an all-black sword. Mr. Rooks, with a concerned look, said, "That can't be the legendary sword Infernal. Where did you get that sword, yo?" I replied, "My mom keeps it sealed in a room, but thanks to Jason I had it connected to this container so that I can draw it from anywhere. There's a seal on the sword that has never been broken." As I drew the blade, he screamed, "Yo, no." A huge gust of air shot at my feet and a huge dark mist filled the room. It made it hard to breathe. The cloud resembled a wolf. I absorbed the mist into the sword. I felt like time was going slowly. We both screamed, "Let's begin." At the same time Yo broke the seal. Mama Rose felt a sharp pain in her neck, and one of the tattoos that had the same markings on the seal started to fade. She said to herself, "Ah, my hands are burning." She rushed to the room that the sword is supposed to be in and saw it was gone. She screamed, "Yo," in a concerned voice, then grabbed her car keys and rushed out the door.